When you're hanging out with friends and family, you can probably crack each other up. It doesn't even have to be jokes. It could just be making a certain sound or giving a certain look at the right time, right? Easy. So why do people always say comedy is hard? Writing in general, and comedy in particular, is an outlier because, as far as I know, it's the only art that pretty much everyone thinks they already understand. Which they kind of do. Nobody would expect, having never touched a piano before, to sit down and write a piece of music to rival Chopin. Nobody would expect to be able to do a pencil drawing or a painting with zero study, but pretty much everyone thinks they already know what comedy is, and in their defense, in a certain sense, they're right. I'm willing to bet if you ask 10 random people to judge 5 piano pieces or 5 paintings, unless they're into that kind of thing already, they'll probably say, I don't know, they're all kind of the same to me. But they can always tell you what's funny or not to them because they either laugh or don't. This is why comedy is hard, because everyone is an authority for themselves. But in order to get better at making comedy for everyone, not just friends and family, you have to get yourself back to that place where you would be if you were starting to learn how to play piano or how to paint. It's very hard for new comedy writers to accept that they don't really have a head start. A lot of people are not willing to put their ego aside. This is how you get people who clearly want to be funny because they're doing bits all the time, but they're just kind of repeating old jokes or memes they saw on the internet. Originality is hard, so they don't do it. And to be clear, I don't want to put my ego aside either.
If there's anything more important than my ego on this ship, I want to cut and shut right now. Hey, come on.
I think the first thing to understand is some of the non-material reasons that people laugh. It's not always just your material. Now, for example, if you're the boss at work, you probably think you're pretty funny with the staff, and maybe you are, but you're definitely getting a little help thanks to your position. If you're super good looking, wealthy, famous, and so on, people are going to laugh more at what you say. Now, I will say I've also heard pro comedians say that that effect doesn't last forever. So if you're Timothy Chalamet or Ana de Armas and you go out and do a stand-up comedy tour, people are going to give you a ton of credit for about 15 minutes, and then you better actually be funny. But most human interactions are well under that 15-minute mark, so the attractiveness/wealth/fame reality distortion field applies. When you submit your first few jokes to people who have never met you or seen you before, they're probably going to have some notes. And you're probably going to think, notes? What the hell are these notes? I'm hilarious. And again, you are, to yourself, to friends, and to family, but with those folks, you are benefiting from the rapport you've built over the life of that relationship. They know you, they relate to you, they care about you. When you go to make strangers laugh, you have to build all that rapport from scratch as fast as possible. You have to understand that when you cross that line from just being funny with friends and family to taking it seriously and trying to get funnier, you have entered a new world. You've walked through the looking glass on platform 3.14 and you're now in comedy Narnia. Mark Twain wrote that. Comedy is hard also because it scares the shit out of people. Nobody wants to be the person who makes a public decision about who is funny and who is not because it's possibly the most second-guessable decision ever. A lot of people in a position to greenlight you somehow are going to be extremely hard to convince that you are funny unless you've been famous for a long time. You're asking them to give you a chance, but in a lot of those environments, the scariest thing a person can do is take a chance. They want something that is a 100% known quantity so that if it goes wrong, nobody can say they dared take a chance. You will probably see people get hired over you and then go through their work to find it's extremely unimaginative, but they have lots more Instagram followers. Even though everyone knows that social media is fake and you can buy Instagram followers. It's nonsense, but for that person making the choice, it's safer to base a decision on a bigger number than artistic merit, even when the number is fake. All that said, there definitely are times when someone who has never done a minute of stand-up or sketch or improv or even thought about those things might say or do the funniest thing ever. That's just how this art goes. Think about this problem in terms of comedy sets in film and TV. Now, people often say stuff like best idea wins, meaning that the best idea shouted out on the day is what goes into the final product. It's easier said than done. If I got the cash to make another film based on my previous work and my track record, and I'm sitting there on set trying to make something work, someone who has never told a joke a day in their lives could suggest an idea that absolutely slays. Put yourself in my shoes in that situation. I'm an extremely vain person. I got this gig making this film because of my experience and track record.
I have been dreaming of making
this whole production, and now we're on a set and someone with zero experience has made a suggestion that's better than anything I've thought of. Can my ego take that? Absolutely not. But if I want the best work possible, I have to get around my ego. It's very hard to do that, especially when the stakes go up. And the set can't be chaos. Somebody's got to be at the helm. It's a very hard line to walk to get the most out of everyone around without letting things be directionless. It's also really hard to get the best work out of a group when some people are comfortable being loud and some people are not. Lots of truly brilliant writers are not very demonstrative. It's easy for them to get steamrolled. How do you manage that? It's hard. This is what makes this art so subtle and so wonderful. It's so easy, so acceptable, it's everywhere, and yet if you try to grab it, it's gone. Now, let me ask you something, babies. What more could you ask out of life than a challenge like that? You can do this. Like any worthwhile relationship, it is hard but beautiful. Stick with it. Let me know if I can help. And consider trying to shrink your ego a little or move it aside, so there's more room for mine.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe, and maybe jump on the Patreon if you want to help me make more. And if you want to talk about comedy writing with people who are trying to do it in a constructive way, we also have a Discord channel.